Hello, I'm Lizzy with Long Distance Gamers, and today I'm going to be talking about the newest expansion for Tapestry, Arts and Architecture. Now before we get started, I will say that this is a review copy of the expansion. My best friend in New York got me a copy of the base game and the first expansion, fell in love with it, and so when a chance to get the review expansion came out, I said hell yes. So now, what did I think about it? So here we have a game that we've already played, and we did play this remotely. They did not have a copy of the expansion, so for the new D20, because the dice changed from a D12 to a D20, we just put little tokens down to show what number you could roll on a normal D20. First thing you'll notice is this arts track. I'm going to pull everyone off. So this is the main part of the expansion, right? You try to go up on it, you get some cool little buildings, and you get these cards. Now these cards, they are called masterpiece cards. So they can do multiple of different things. So like this one, you'll notice that it has, I could topple or I can conquer an empty space. So if you notice, I'm not very far up in the military track, but because I got this, the very first card I was able to get over here, I was able to expand out really well. And then here are some other ones that you can just get during the game, and it's just, they just add, and bear in mind I do have a pink screen, so the pinks can sometimes be a little see-through. It's just different ways to get points and resources, which just, it adds a lot of variability, which I do love. Of course, it is a deck that comes out, so it could be random. You might not get what you exactly need, but you have 3 to choose from, and then you could always take the top up if that doesn't work for you. And this painting one, like, you could get 4 victory and a resource of your choice, which is fun. So like there's just a whole bunch of different ones. So that I really love. Like, this art track makes the expansion what it is, and it's just, yes, please, love it. Something else that these expansions do include are some of these new leader cards, which we have Relentless, which they're basically, you're just trying to like just get buildings. That's all you care about. So if you don't get buildings, then you have to take your tokens off and you get different victory points. And it's just your income turn, if you get a building, you put it on. But if at the end of your advancement turn, if you haven't gotten a building, you have to take the tokens that are off, or that are on it, off. And then you get whatever it shows. So you could get up to 15 victory points every 5 turns, which is nice, or every 6 turns, but... and then we have one of my favorites, is this Urban Planners. You could get up to 49 victory points if you're good. And Brooksy got the new Mesa, which only has these that are the red dots. So being able to put these landmarks next to each other for victory points was pretty easy with this one. It just took a little bit more concentration. But like the Urban Planners with my archipelago. So the archipelago has all of these different islands on it, and it would be very hard to get a building next to another building. Like, I have it done once. So the Urban Planners wouldn't quite be a good one for that. So you have to be careful about which one you use versus which one you don't use based on which of your cities you use. Kitty played the Renegades, which every time you advance, depending on where you advanced, you could choose not to get the reward, and instead move up on this and get that reward. And then at the end, not only do you get to complete a track, if you get to complete it, but you also get 20 victory points, which is huge. My all-time favorite leader is this Gamblers, just because it's so much fun to play. So the picture is fun, but then this thing at the beginning of your income turns, you'll grab 3 of these Tapestry cards, and any of them that say when played, so like we got 2 right now that say when played, you would get to choose one of them, play it, do its ability, and then play another Tapestry card from your hand. If none of these would say when played, you would just add one to your hand and then move on. But the chances of getting that is fairly slim. When we played this, every round, every income phase, there was a when played drawn, which was pretty cool. And the last leader was this collector, so every time you got one of these resources, which you can check out the artwork, but every time you get one of those resources, instead of putting it somewhere else, you could put it on this card, and at the end of the game you can score victory points, and then when you place it you do get a resource, which is pretty nice. And then it came with a few of these new ones. Like this one I found really interesting. These lily pads counted as finished spaces for during play for the victory points, but if they were left uncovered at the end of the game, they were -2 victory points for each one. So I found that one really cool to play. This one, these canyons, or these cactuses, if you get it completely surrounded, then that is considered to be filled. Otherwise, you could put a building over it. So if you would get this building, you could put it over it. But if you would get it completely surrounded, it would be counted as full. So it could save you some time. And the caverns, like you have to go from the top down, which is really interesting. But you don't get points for the columns that you get filled. You get points for the rows. And it escalates all the way up to 3 victory points down here, which is pretty cool. And then the cloud was the only other one. Just had these weird spaces for people, or for things, that anytime you filled one of them, you would get a thing. And so it's different. That one was very hard because the dots were so weirdly spaced. And the spaces were so full, it was hard to get resources. Because like the archipelago has some that are really, really small. So you can get resources really fast. While it is a very confined map, it does allow for you to have freedom because you can go off the edge with any of them. But I just messed all that up. Okay, so that was the new leaders. And so some of the landmarks, well, not some of the landmarks that are included in here. Let me grab these up. So they're spread throughout because we were playing with them. But you can notice that they are call-outs to their games, like Between Two Cities, Bird Watchers, I believe this is Scythe. We have Euphoria here, Viticulture, and Charterstone. And I know there's one for Pendulum. I thought I had it. This looks like a My Little Scythe or Between Two Castles because it has a little swirl on the door. Which, speaking of these landmarks, there was a slight misprint on the cards. The way that they fit is wrong. This card has 3x4 with a, well, 3x3 with the 2 out here and the 1 out here. Versus if you look at the castle, it's a 3x3 with the 2 down here and the 1 out here. And there's no way to turn this so that it's correct unless you flip it over like that. Then it will match the card. So that is the only misprint we saw. I will just be taking a marker and just moving that square over to that side and then that square over to the other side as well. So that way it will match the actual landmark. Just bear in mind that when you do play with this landmark, that is flip-flopped. So if you are playing with someone who doesn't know that, make sure to let them know. Or you could just, on your card, do what I'm planning on doing. And something that this expansion does add is new Tapestry cards as well as new inventions. But some of the new Tapestry cards are really cool because you can put buildings on them and do just different things. Which, considering you have a lot more landmarks, it's definitely needed. Because, I mean, Brooksy finished filling his entire mesa and still was pulling off income buildings. We weren't sure what to do in that situation. So, we just let him do it because, well, he got 18 more points from us letting him do it. If you would have gotten these, you'd be able to just place them on here and then get whatever benefit it entails. And there's just some other ones like this one I really like. And then this moon landing. Something I haven't quite liked with the base game, how these space tiles come out, because you don't get them. Okay. You get these at the very, very end of the exploration track. And they can do different things, like this can get you 5 victory points for every time you move up on the science track. Well, by the time you get it, you're done. I mean, your game's pretty much done. You might have 1, maybe 2 turns left. And you might not have the resources to be even able to use it. So this could be a complete dud for you. Versus like this one, you would get a house and then a victory point for the house. So I mean, you would at least get 1 victory point. But the chances are that you've done nothing on the technology track to get houses is pretty slim. So this would be somewhat better. Not great, but... And then some of them are worth just straight up victory points. Like this one's worth a whopping 13. And then this one, you get a cool base monolith, which I'm sure I have somewhere in here. Here it is, that you can put on your city. But they don't come until like pretty much the end of the game. Versus if you get this Tapestry card, now granted, this Tapestry deck is huge, so you definitely wouldn't want to plan your strategy around getting this specific one. But you could turn in 2 cards and an invention, and then gain one of these and explore one of them. So that would make it so like if you would get, say, this one, that makes it so that every time you go up on the military track, you would get 5 victory points. You would start focusing massively on the military. So it can definitely be a focus and a game changer for you if you didn't plan on focusing on the military. But there's just lots of pretty cool ones throughout. So, Marriage of State, there's that moon landing again. And then this theme, I just like it because of the call out to the electronic version, even though our game group definitely plays physical games, even remotely. So that's not quite something we do, but it is still cool to call that out. And then we have some of the new ones, which here's another way to get the site or the space tiles early. And then here's a way to get another one of those masterpiece cards. And then here's some that I find really cool. You can, as soon as you get one of these landmarks, you can choose to place it on the card, and it would then move up. In order to move it up to the square space, you have to have a landmark on it. Something different. And then the last thing that this expansion really adds are these inspiration tracks. So you can get them from the arts track with this little light bulb. So your board has these 4 income mats, right? Well, you could choose to put one of these there instead. So it would help you get more victory points. And then there's one for each of the different types of resources. And when you get it, you just choose which one you want to place. Pick the buildings that are there up and then put them on the new one. So if Brixie wanted to upgrade this one, he would take this building off, put the new one down, and then place the building back on. Just gives you more victory points, which is nice, especially turning that last one from a 10 to a 15, and then providing resources for science cards here, and then a little inch up for that first one you get to take off. So that is what is new in the expansion. You get the new landmarks, you get this new track, you get the inspirations, you get some more of the cards, and you get this deck, which I have to say this is probably my favorite part of the expansion. It's nice getting new landmarks that call out their other games. I find that really cute. But this can just dramatically change your strategy based on what's out there. And it just made it a lot more fun, a lot more variable. As far as what I think about this expansion, I do rate it the same as I rate the base game, which is a very solid 10 out of 10. I absolutely adore it. The only issue with the base game is some of these bases are really, really small. So I did get bases off of Etsy. While kudos, these ones are a lot better. So like they fit in the squares a lot better. So that there's hardly any room on the outside, so it's really easy to tell. And this one that normally is circular and doesn't show covering very well now really covers the 2x2 grid that it's supposed to. So they definitely did a really great job with these landmarked tiles, and I'm very happy with that. But that's my only issue from before, other than this space track being a little bit hard to obtain, which they tried to fix some in this expansion. And getting the bases for these made it a non-issue for me. The pros for it is it definitely changes up the gameplay variability. Adding this arts track definitely gives you something else to focus on, and it provides these which change all the time. You can always just see that they're very different from each other and will give you a different way to focus every game. So it definitely adds to replayability, which is phenomenal. It adds more Tapestry cards, more inventions, so all the good stuff that you know and love, they added more of, more leaders and cities. And these cities, I really like them just because of how different the structure setup is. Now, not only do you have just different areas of the dots formation, you now have different ways that they interact. That does bring me to my main con for this expansion. I would say that this expansion is definitely a next step. When you're playing this with someone who's never played Tapestry before, it would be a little bit overwhelming in my opinion. You might want to just start with the base and Plans Employees, because the main thing Plans Employees added were these landmark tiles, and those weren't too much. You just do it at setup. I didn't notice anything different when playing them my first time, So that was a really easy add-on. This track just changes the game in such a dramatic, good way, but it does add an extra thing to focus on, which can be very overwhelming. But for people who know and love Tapestry already, I mean, you've already bought the expansion, and why are you watching this video? Probably to just get a little more hyped, see what else comes in and see what other people think maybe. I don't know. If you already know and love it and you haven't pre-ordered it, why are you watching this video? Go get it! But seriously, this is a great addition, and anytime I play it with my friends, I will be adding this in. If I play it with someone who's never played it before, I won't be, simply because it is a very hard focus. But if you don't want to go through and separate all the cards out, there are ones that deal, if it deals directly with the arts track, it will have that little symbol on the corner of the card. So that way, if you ever pull it, you can just set it to the side. Or if you want to pull out the expansion entirely, they do have that little AA symbol in the corner. So it is a little bit easier to pull out if you need to. I would just leave it in and then, oh, that symbol came out, go ahead and toss it to the side. Again, this is a great expansion. I absolutely adore it. Solid 10 out of 10. Thank you, Jamie, for sending us this review copy. And until next time, just remember to have fun, be present, and be you. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. Also, if you find value in our content, please like, comment, or subscribe. Let a friend or family member know that we exist. Help us spread our channel and bring remote gaming to a table near you. Thank you very much, and have a great day.